we've come to the stage on our 6-speed restoration where I've finally got the injector seals and things like that I've been waiting on. So we can start putting the injectors in now. And I've had the injectors in the holes here just sitting, and I've even had the pipe sitting there doing a dummy run. And to put the injectors in, the first thing is make sure down that hole, the injector hole is clean. It must be clean. And blow it all out and make sure it's all good. And I'll just run through the exercise of that and just make sure there's nothing down in there. And what I like to do from here is I like to run a bit of Never-Seez around the injector cap down here, and I also run it on the copper washer just a little bit. And it's one of those things, if it doesn't do any good, can it do any harm? No, it can't. So I just run a liberal amount around. If you've ever had an injector stuck in a head, you'll understand why I do this. And the injector washer goes up. I probably did that back to front, I'm thinking right now. That I should have put the injector seal on first. So we'll do another bit of a coating around here. Don't have to be thick, just a little bit of something to stop the metal on metal. And so look, all that happens is that goes down in there. Make sure it's sitting right down on the bottom. And now they have a spring washer on each injector, and then they have a 1/2-inch UNF nut here. And at the back they have a long nut, which is a bloody great invention by Perkins. So they also have a return line here, and I've left mine capped up there. But once we get the injector sitting there like that, we need to, I'll just reach under here. We need to ensure that that injector seal sits right down in the hole. And that way, with a bit of Never-Seez around it and the injector seal sitting down, we shouldn't get any rubbish in there. We've got another couple to do. Well, only it's a 3-cylinder. So the copper washer came off there, so I'll have to, yep, the copper washer sitting down in the hole, so that's good. So we'll put the seal on first. I'll go up there. Now I know Sparex didn't, well, I couldn't see those seals in Sparex. Oh look, I might have my companies mixed up there, but I know for sure that I bought these seals off Quality Tractor Parts. We'll put a bit of Never-Seez on. Yeah, my O-ring pick just fell to the ground, so there's me drop for this video. Probably one of many, but anyway. A bit of Never-Seez. Pop him in. Bit of Never-Seez, pop him in. And we'll push the seals down, make sure they're seated down in the hole next to where the injector goes. Few spring washers Might have to get a couple of new spring washers. Looks like I'm a couple short. Right, I'll sneak off and grab another washer for a sec. Well, I've gone and got a couple of new spring washers, so I might put new spring washers all the way. Why not? Hang the expense. Make it all match up nice then. A little bit of shadow coming in today. One of my overhead lights is blown, so we've got light just coming from one way. So okay, I'll tighten this. Oh, actually we're not going to tighten them. Don't tighten these up yet, and there's a reason for that. So at this stage, look, I probably do this different to other people, but this is just how I do it, and that's how it all works in Bundy Bear's shed. It's how Bundy Bear does it. So leave these loose just for the moment. Now, the injector pipes. We've had the injector pipes off the machine, so it's important to make sure they're nice and clean. Now, you don't want to fill your injectors up with any rubbish, so what I do, I'll point it away from the camera. I force a bit of brake lean down it. You can see the, well you can't, I'm just out of frame there. So, pop a bit of brake lean down each injector pipe, and then I follow it up with an air blast. We're just making sure that there's no tiny little bits of grit or grime or anything like that that's in the road. And I had the pump off this, and these are, I've left this fitting, this one you can't do, but the two other fittings I've left a little loose, and the reason so we don't have tension on any of these injection pipes. So if I actually put this up the right way, oh, where are you going here, Lance? About there. Now another thing with these 135 injector pipes, there's an early and a late pipe set. If your injector pump has a bar that comes up here, a fitting that sits up here, you have a different part number on the injection pipe. Only on number 1, number 2 and number 3 work fine. So, look, there's another thing that I do, and I just run a bit of never sees around there. Now, if you've ever had an injector where you can't undo the injector nut because it's rusted solid, we've just fixed that problem. I'll do it here while I think of it. Well, my memory card filled up, and I just had a look and the camera went beep, so I was able to stop and get that all sorted out, and get it all downloaded to the laptop. So with these injection pipes, pop you a bit of anti-seize on them, and where are we here? Which one's that one? That one's number 3. So once again, a little bit of brake lean out of the pipe. Put that over there. Blow him out. And look, it wouldn't matter if you use WD-40 or whatever for just cleaning that out. Now, a little bit of never sees So if ever later in life you, me or anyone has to play with this tractor, it'll be good. It must go this way. I'll start this nut if I can. There we go. Oh, that's number 2, not number 3. I thought I had number 3. Just a dab and never sees on that thread. At the moment everything's just finger tight, it's all I want to do. I'd like to push that across a bit so they're in line. And we're putting a new injector pipe on the back one because that was a ring-in with big rub marks in it and things like that. So even though it's a new one, we'll do the break a lean trick. And the never sees once again. Yeah, I've had them in the past where you put bloody injector pipes, you try and undo them and you can't, and they start twisting, and you if you do get one like that, what my go-to thing is with it is I try and get a punch and just punch all around it, around the nut, if I can, with a bit of inox around it, hopefully getting to free it all up. So now these aftermarket injector pipes, they're close but they're not perfect. A lot of aftermarket parts are like that. They're certainly usable, but you have to tune them up a little bit, I believe. Now this one needs to come in a bit tighter there. Now if you have a look, this one, we'll do that up a little bit further, it might come down, but you can see there's just a slight little rub point there. We do not want that. So at this stage you can push them around a little bit. We're going to put clamps on to hold them all together. But the idea with everything loose is it gives us an opportunity to adjust the pipes, to have them where we would like them sitting, and like that's close enough to get a clamp on. Now this one here, he could go there and get a clamp on as well. Now this bit here, I'd like to move that away just a little bit. Now there is a gap there now, but we can probably move this one just across a bit and then tighten up this nut here, and that will hold it away. But we're really looking to have no tension on these, and that's why we haven't done them up just yet. We can do them up, get them up close to where we want them, but you don't want to have sprung injector pipes if you can get away from it. And look, now and then I've just had to have them like that. You just can't do anything about it. They've had a hit with a stick or something like that, but my main idea is to get all the injector pipes sitting in place without tension on them. Get them where you'd like them. Now see that one there, now we've nipped him up a little bit. There's not much gap there. I'll just nip this nut up. Look, it's not tight, I'm just looking at getting it in the place that will sit so I can tune them up. Okay, back that off again. This fella here, I'll just bring him over. Now there's too much, that's a bit too much, or too close in there. So I'd like to bring that across. I think we could clamp it there all right. That's a nice straight looking pipe, so it looks nice. That there's okay. Still looks like we're going to have a little trouble here, I think. Oh, there's a gap there, all right. And what I like to do is have these as close as we can to in line. They will bend a little bit, but we don't want permanent tension on them. Now I've got a couple of little clamps. The clamps were missing off this tractor, and they're quality tractor parts. Number 62310K, I think you can see that, yep. Now, there's a couple of problems with these, I reckon. They probably don't agree, but I think there is. This is the clamp, and look, it's a nice looking little clamp. It's got nice plastic cutouts. It's got a standard nut. And when you sit it in place here, look, that looks okay. And you know, we could bolt the back up here. We can bolt that up, and that separates the pipes for us nicely. And look, it's not too bad a thing, but in my mind, these should have steel backing. On all the old ones, they had steel backing on them, and the steel backing supported the rubber or the plastic, or it was probably rubber back in the day. And another thing, they just have a standard nut there, and as you know, a standard nut or a spring washer, it might bite into here, but I wasn't that fussed with that idea either. So I've gone downtown and I've actually got proper nylon lock nuts for it. So we'll set these in place, but I do plan on revisiting these, and when we're giving the injector pipes a bit of an adjustment, we're looking to make sure, see that clamp there now, that goes on nice and easy. That's what we're looking for. So I'll put the standard nut on, save buggering up a nylon lock nut. But it will end up with a little bit of steel. And look, it's only 1/2 inch, something like that, a little bit of steel backing for each of them. And now this pipe here, so this can come down, and that supports that nicely. Have my metric shifter here. They're metric bolts in these things. And then down the bottom here, I still need to adjust this pipe a little bit, I believe. So I'll see if I can just bring a So we'll try that. I would like that sitting in just a bit closer. That might bring that pipe up a little. Whatever I do there, it looks like I'm going to put tension on it, which is not what I really ideally wanted to do. And we'll bring this bend Hey, there's me drop for the video. That might be 2 drops now. I'm in credit. I would like just a little bit more gap there, so. I might bring this one up a little bit further once more. These were all twisted and buggered when I got the tractor, so look, I think that'll be nice. Oh, look at that. Lovely, tell your mother. She probably won't care, but anyway, tell her. So we set that up there. Get in there, will you? Yeah, I just haven't got any other injector line clamps, so this is what we're going to have to use on this one. And look, that goes on nicely. There's no tension there. We're not pulling the pipes one way or another. I'd like to see that sit in just so they're nice and level, just for looks. Like that. Okay, so now that we've got everything in place there, and we've got our injector pipes, I mean, just firm, like we'll just firm them all up. Back him off and nip him up again. So in relation to the injectors, where they sit left, right, all about, see, they can still move. So by just firming these fellas up, we know that we've got a nice straight line up on the olive there. So what we can do now is tighten the injectors. Now bring them down evenly. I'll undo these fellas out of the way just for the exercise here. Now these are a 5/16 bolt, so look, they're only supposed to be about 20 foot-pound, 25 maybe. So nip them all up. You can feel that injector pulling down there a little bit. Notice I've got a nice short little spanner, so I'm not overdoing it. And go from side to side, try and tighten them evenly so they're square on that copper washer down the bottom. And I've left putting the exhaust manifold on until we get these injector pipes sorted, because it's just so easy, you know, without the manifold on. The jaws on my old Sid Chrome, I've had this spanner for many years. The jaws on that must be getting a bit worn there. They're pushing around a little bit. Right, so once they're bolted down and they're in place, we still have to deal with the injector lines here. So now we can nip them up, so bring them up nice and tight. We know that everything's nice and straight, and the shed's starting to creak, the sun's coming out. And down this end, and just nip them all up again. Right, then also what we need to do, excuse me for a second, leaning across there, is these bolts that hold they're like delivery valves, but they're not, they're just bolts on these with the steel washers each side. We need to nip them up and everything will be in place nicely now. So in theory there's no tension on any of that. We've left everything loose so it can find its happy spot. And hopefully we'll get a good long run out of it. Now when we bleed the tractor to start it, we'll probably have a tank above here, and all I do then is I bleed the pump here and then I crack this pipe here. So that works okay. So now we have an injector return line, and any leakage or fuel that the injector doesn't want comes back to a return line, goes to the reservoir that goes back into the fuel tank. So we'll give that a bit of a blow out with our brake clean or something again. And it's just making sure there's no dust or anything got in it while it's sitting, while we haven't been paying attention to it. Now these aftermarket injectors, they come with the new bolts, but there's one thing that pees me off a bit with aftermarket parts, and they get it close but not right. So what I'm complaining about here is the head size of the bolt. This is probably 13 millimeters. I'll try a 1/2 inch on it. Yeah, look, 1/2 inch, 13 millimeters. The original ones had a 7/16 head on them. So, I don't know, it wouldn't be hard to do it right in my eyes. But look, we'll use their copper washers. I've cleaned these out. I'll just give it another bit of a bougie there. So we have a copper washer under the head. We poke it through the hole. Make sure this is nice and clean. Nothing wrong with sandpapering them up a little bit if you feel like it. Oh, look at that. Wouldn't that give you the shit? Different thread. Oh, the bastard. Let's check this out. Something I didn't know. Yeah, look at that. So there's no way out apart from use the aftermarket ones. But look, some of this stuff just doesn't really matter. It's just if you're doing a tractor up, and you know, I have a way of doing stuff and you have a way of doing it. And okay, so copper washer. Sometimes in the gasket kits with the engine, these washers are aluminium. They're aluminium in Australia, but they make them out of this different stuff. It's called aluminum in America. They're little things that annoy me in aftermarket parts. But anyway, that's just what we have to put up with. I don't have the others, and then I could probably put the caps off the old injectors on, but then they've probably got a metric thread there too, so I don't think there's a way to win. So we'll nip them down. And that's it. I'll just check these if they've settled at all. No, look, that looks all good. I'll just run over all the nuts and bolts again. I just like to check my work. And look, that looks good. Now, one thing I was just thinking of now, and if you bear with me for a moment. Here is my exhaust manifold. It's a Bearco B120. Look, it looks to be a well-made manifold. Nice thick surfaces there. They look a bit thicker than original probably. Okay, so the manifold sits there like that. Look, that's okay. I was concerned about the plastic here and the heat from the exhaust manifold. But look, in the past other tractors have had it and it hasn't been a worry. So, but once again, if I actually go and put the steel backing on these, well, that'll shield it from that as well. But look, that's it. That's fitting the injectors. We'll do the manifold on another video.